Welcome to the Homeschool Show from North Carolinians for Home Education. I'm one of your hosts, Amanda Wayers.
And I'm Melanie Willis.
And we are here to help you homeschool with confidence and joy. So today, as we are out here at the beautiful Caraway Conference Center, it is so lovely. We are here for the Moms Retreat. Now, we have talked a lot about the Moms Retreat, and now it's finally here.
And we wish you were here with us.
I know we do. We miss you if you're not here, but it's still a wonderful time. We are going to have a great time. It's great to be able to just step away for a moment, breathe, enjoy this gorgeous scenery that you can see a little taste of behind us. It's lovely here, and we're really excited. So since we are approaching the season of holidays,
starting Monday,
that's right. When this is coming out, when you're watching this, it will be Veterans Day. Wow. Okay. It will be Veterans Day. I'm so sorry. And
homeschooling's hard. We work a lot, don't we?
It's true.
It's okay if our minds forget things every now and then.
That's right.
It's okay.
And my Marine Corps veteran husband would say that yes, Veterans Day is extremely important, but he and all of our children know this as well, that the day before Veterans Day is also a very important holiday.
Yes, it is.
Do you know what it is?
Yes.
Oh.
Let's talk about it. So we're talking about holidays.
Yes.
And so if we're coming up on this holiday, so it's probably too late, or maybe today you're going to figure out what you're doing for homeschooling today.
Absolutely.
And so as we talk about these military holidays, I always took the cheap way out.
Yeah.
Google was my friend. I think that was before we even called it Google, though. Internet search was my friend. And just look up, whatever history I could. And a lot of times I'd say, free unit study or free workbook pages or something like that. And just take a little bit of time with the kids together, all ages. It's an all age thing to get to do, and talk about whatever it is we're talking about, whether it's a specific war or a specific day in a war.
Mm-hmm.
And it really made for a change of pace, which I think we need a lot of times. It's just to do something a little different and shake things up, take a breath. And so that always was something that we did a lot of.
Yes, I love that. And I think sometimes we as homeschool moms, we get caught up in checking the boxes and trying to make sure we stay on schedule, and the holidays are such a great opportunity to still do school,
mm-hmm.
but it's not your regular everyday school.
There's
and maybe
different.
It'd be fun. The kids will get excited about it. You can make crafts, you can read books, you can go on field trips. There's so many things you can do. And I also was a free unit study Googler myself. And I've noticed that some of the curriculum companies will put out free or super inexpensive unit studies, like little mini studies,
when it's near
the time. Yeah. So just kind of keep your eye out. There's a lot out there, a lot of resources.
Yeah. And like I had told you earlier, for Christmas, I actually did the same unit study multiple years in a row. And it was great because it was having fun with your friends. They learned a lot of information while they thought they were just having fun with their friends. And so we did a unit study that talked about different countries and what their contribution, so to speak, would be to how we celebrate the holidays.
Yeah.
And I did it with 3 other moms. So there were 4 of us, and each of us took a week to supposedly teach. It was already written. It wasn't like we had to do any work. And we would study foods from those countries and whatever Christmas carols came from those countries. And the kids were just thinking they were having a good time.
Right.
But they actually ended up learning a lot, and there was a little history stuff in there. So that was a lot of fun. I mean, we've done unit studies, free ones, because it was near that time for the Olympics, all kinds of things.
Yes.
So.
I know my son just did a little unit study on elections.
Yeah, yeah.
It was very appropriate timing, and it worked out that he was in a history class at our co-op, and they did a whole unit study just on the election. It was really fascinating, and I love, my favorite is that sneaky learning,
Oh,
where
yeah.
they don't really know they're learning, but they are.
Yes.
I think that's awesome.
Because they're used to what we do on an everyday basis, and so then when you do something just a little different, they can kind of take a breath. It seems a little bit maybe more fun.
Yes.
And yeah, they're not so much feeling like, oh, mom's teaching us again.
Right, exactly. And don't we get a break? Or, whatever it is.
Whatever holiday we're on.
Exactly.
Yeah, we get a break and we can still learn from life.
That's right. That's so fun. I love that. So enjoy all these upcoming holidays and different ways you can learn. Sneak in some of that learning that they won't even know.
And there's a lot of history out there that we don't think about, that we forget about, or that every year I learn something. I'm like, wow, did I know that before? I don't think I knew that before.
It's true. Absolutely. Yeah. So what have we seen on the internet lately, Melanie?
We've seen some interesting things on the internet. So let's see how to word this. The first thing is, I have a parent that was asking a question about, did they have to disclose what their homeschool name was going to be when they withdrew their child from public school?
Mm-hmm.
And I think that kind of lends itself to a discussion about exactly what it looks like to withdraw your student from public school.
Right. Yeah. So, okay, this only applies to you if your child is 7 or older. If your child is 5 or 6 and in a public school, you do have to formally withdraw them. But if they are 5 or 6, you will not open a homeschool. You will not file a notice of intent to homeschool with the state of North Carolina. So if your child is 5 or 6, the rest of this will not apply. But if they are 7 or older, you have to file a notice of intent. Every child 7 to 16 in North Carolina has to be enrolled in school somewhere. So if they're not going to be enrolled in public school, then they have to be enrolled somewhere. And said public school is not just going to be like, oh, okay, unless you have something that proves they are indeed going to be enrolled somewhere else.
So when you have put in that notice of intent with the state, mm-hmm. and you're going to get an email, first off, that has all the information, and then they still send you a card, right? Mm-hmm. Maybe not. So you're going to get the email, and it's going to have the number of your homeschool, but it's going to have the name that you chose when you filed your notice of intent. Yep. So when you take that to the public school, yes, they're going to see what the name of your school is, and I don't think that's a big deal at all, but right. Yes, they're going to know the name of your school because they're going to see that on the actual notice of intent.
Exactly. Another note on that is you may not know this, but now you're going to. The names of our school is public record. So you can actually go and look up all the homeschools in whatever county. It's public record. So it's not something you can just hide anyway. So in my mind, you're not putting, your name is not public record. Your children's name, we don't ever register our children's names anyway. None of that is public record, but the information about your homeschool, the name of your homeschool, is public record.
Right.
So do you have to? Yes, you do. That's it. That's the short answer. Yes, you do. And don't feel like they're trying to infringe upon your freedom. Right. That really is the law, that children have to be enrolled somewhere. Right. So don't.
They're just doing their job and getting that paperwork taken care of.
Exactly. So be okay about that. System. Now, if they start asking for more than that, which has happened, mm-hmm. There was a county a couple of years ago that was asking people who were withdrawing their children to list like curriculum they were going to use and all this stuff. That is an overreach. That is North Carolina. In North Carolina, that is not at all required in our law. That is not at all anything that you need to disclose to anybody.
Right. Okay. So our next question. Yearly testing. Now, and obviously we've talked about that a lot, but this is a specific question in reference to when and how often, and does it have to be a specific day every year? Does it have to be exactly 365 days later? When do you do this?
That is a good question. And I have seen this come up. I think it comes up every year. People, yeah, they always want to know. And it's kind of nebulous a little bit, maybe on the website. So the short answer is the law says you have to test, you have to administer a nationally normed standardized test once per calendar year. There is nothing that I am aware of. There is nothing in the law about it has to be the same month every year. It has to be exactly 365 days apart. It has to be even the same season. I don't think that's in there. Just once per year.
That's it.
So that's really it. Now, I know a lot of people tend to test in the spring, or they wait and they do it like in June to mark the end of their school year, if that's how they do their calendar. But I've known plenty of people that would test at the beginning of the school year in the fall as kind of a baseline and then go from there until the next year. Or if they go by a calendar year, they might test in December or January. So it really doesn't matter.
Well, I know I think early on I had started in April or so. And so it usually was around that time, sometimes March, sometimes April. One year it was like the end of June, just before I got around to it, I guess.
It's true. It's true.
But
so
I did it.
Exactly. The point is, yes, we have to give a test.
Right.
When doesn't really matter.
Right.
As long as it's once per calendar year.
And then just as a small heads up, it really does make it easy. They have on the website for you to just go out and say what test you gave. You want to go out once a year and change the ages of your children that you have each year. You know, you're not putting their name in. Again, they don't, it's just what age child or how many children do you have in each age group.
Right.
And so when you go out to do that, I go ahead and I put in whatever test I use. And it's there.
Yeah. And the DMPE just uses that information for statistical purposes for them to be able to say, hey, this is
not checking up on us.
What kind of test they're using? You know, it's just for statistics.
You don't tell them the score.
No,
there's none of that.
Not at all.
You know, it's just saying this is what it did.
Absolutely.
So, very good. So what do you have for Homeschool Helps for us this week?
Oh, this is a good one. And it is one that I feel like I run into at least once at some point with each of my children. And maybe we're currently in one of those seasons right now. And it is, what do you do when kids either refuse to do their regular schoolwork, or they drag their feet, or they just keep saying, oh, I'll get to it, and then they never get to it.
Yes, I've had this.
And I really hope that Melanie can help me today, because I need Homeschool Helps with Amanda needs help today. So what you got?
Okay. So I definitely had this with my 6 children. I definitely had this come up. I know 2 major times where it really kind of got to the point where I felt like they were taking so much of the focus and I wasn't spending the time that I felt like I should give to my other children. And so I just kind of backed off for a while for those 2 children during that particular season for them. And didn't require as much. And I know some would say, well, you know, you just gave in to them and they weren't learning anything, but I think it's important for a parent to keep their sanity straight if that's not the only child that they're teaching, and make sure that they can be the best that they can be for all of their children. And if you start losing it, you're not going to be who you need to be for your kids. And so we just kind of took a season with each of those kids individually where we did just kind of back off. I didn't require near as much from them. And what actually happened with both of them in time was that they themselves plugged back into school without me doing anything about it. Now, it didn't happen in 2 weeks or even 3 months. But less than 6 months, they themselves chose to plug back into schooling. And some people might disagree with me, but I probably would have lost it, and all of my kids would have suffered had I not done that. And ultimately, these kids are grown now.
Yeah.
And they're perfectly smart.
Yes.
And they function out in the world. And even that particular year, as we did give the standardized testing, they were perfectly fine. They were both scoring above grade level still.
Yeah.
And so it was not worth it by any means for me to stress them out and force them into something that they weren't ready for whatever reason at that time, whether they were going through hormonal changes or just growing or whatever was happening in our lives. And I think that that is one of the things that we get with homeschooling.
Yes.
Is we can step back and take a break. Whereas if they're in an organized school somewhere, they're being forced no matter what, and that could backfire.
Yeah.
So my suggestion is always, in some way, shape, or form, maybe not as severe as I did, to just back off for a minute.
I love that.
You talked before about one of yours and taking it from, you stopped doing what you were doing and went at it from a different angle.
True.
And so there's multiple ways to handle that.
That's true.
But for me, at that point in time, it was, fine, you go be you for a little while, and I'm going to take care of this.
Yeah. We've had that with the older three for sure at different times, that I think I dealt with it in different ways. Some good and some not so good. Yelling and screaming is probably not the best answer. I will tell you that. But I admit to yelling and screaming more than once, and it did not end well, honestly. And truthfully, if I had at that time had the wisdom to just back off for a little bit, it probably would have gotten done just fine the next day or the next week or whatever. But sometimes we just don't know. So, all right, I'm gonna relax. Okay. So
go ahead.
Next, I think we have talked a lot in various aspects about community.
Yes.
We've talked it, coming at it from where do you find community? We need community, all of these things. We've talked about that. But what if somebody, maybe because of where they live or maybe because of their life circumstances, maybe they're a working homeschooling parent, and their schedule doesn't jive with whatever homeschool group that is around them. What do they do then?
Right.
What do they do?
And we have talked, and I know you and Diane just talked 2 weeks ago about the finding community. Yeah. And so, yes, on the NCHE page, there is a section on communities where you can go in and find your specific county and look at homeschool groups that are available. But that is not an exhaustive list.
Right.
And I have said many times to people, go out on NC Homeschooling and say exactly where you are and what you're looking for. And within 15 minutes, people are going to start coming up and saying, hey, I live here. This is what we do. Because there's just so many groups that do not list themselves on the NCHE website.
Right.
But then the other thing is, sometimes you're just not going to find exactly what you're looking for. I think most of the time it's probably out there. It's just not finding the right people.
Sure.
And maybe that's because, God needs to connect you with different people.
Yeah.
But my first suggestion, if you are truly struggling with finding community, and some people, I wouldn't have liked this answer if it were me. You need to put yourself out there and say, hey, I'm looking to start up a homeschool co-op or community of this specific thing. If it's, I am a working mom, so I'm not available to meet during the daytime. I need something in the evening, and I'm not even really that interested in having a specific class that my children have to learn from.
Right.
I just want to get together and fellowship. And there will be more moms that come out. I promise you won't have to do it alone. There are so many people out there, I promise, that are in whatever circumstance you're in. You just need to put it out there and people will come.
Yes. I think it's not exactly homeschooling related, but as I have said several times, I have a new grandson who is almost approaching 3 months old. But my daughter was feeling a little bit isolated. She didn't know she had a few new mom friends, but she really wanted community, and she wasn't finding it exactly. She had put some feelers out there, but wasn't really getting any hits of what she was looking for. And so she did exactly that. She created a group. She created a group on Facebook, of all places, but it has been such a blessing. She invited the few that she knew and wanted to connect more with. And then, they invited some people and on and on. And it's been such a lovely source of community for her. And they have done just that. They've got some of the moms are working, some are not. And so they've had get togethers on the weekends. Mm-hmm. They've had get togethers at night. They've had get togethers during the day. So during the weekdays. So that's just one example of a simple way to put it out there and just see what happens.
Yeah. Well, and I would also say that, according to the age of your children, because I know this mom that reached out to me this week, she has a rather young child. Mm-hmm. It doesn't necessarily have to be homeschoolers.
No.
You can reach out in your community for anybody.
Yeah.
And I know that so many people are just, they're worried about that word, want to socialize my child.
Yes.
I really want to encourage you that I don't think that worrying about socializing is something you need to worry about.
Right.
You are going to have friends, and children are, sometimes their best friends are not necessarily children. Lots of people can speak into their lives, and sometimes it's just the people that they see at church. Mm-hmm. I think that we put a lot of weight on that word, socializing, that is unnecessary.
Yes.
Absolutely unnecessary. So I just implore you to release your mind from that heavy burden if that is one of your concerns.
Mm-hmm. And sometimes you just need to think outside the box a little bit. Maybe that community that you're looking for might be in a place you haven't thought of yet. So just be creative, be willing to maybe reach out, put yourself out there. I know it's hard, but I have known several moms and dads that were not really finding a community or a co-op that fit them, that fit what they were looking for. And so they started their own, and it has been such a blessing to them. It's just, a few families can get together and their kids can play and learn and do whatever, go to the park and just enjoy nature and being outside and all of that. And
because then the kids are having fun with each other, and you're getting to talk to another mom that's probably dealing with some of the same things that you are.
Absolutely.
And you're getting the support that you need without having to put a ton into, is my kid learning this, or are we doing this class? And you don't have to organize something that costs money or takes a lot of your time.
Exactly. All right. I love that. That's so good. So last but not least, we always like to talk a little bit about what is going on with NCHE. And coming up, we still, as far as I am aware, there are still at least a few Nutcracker tickets left. So make sure you check on the website for that. But if you want to go to the Nutcracker, you really need to not wait.
Yes.
Because it will sell out.
It's usually sold out by now. So
absolutely.
I'm really shocked that there's a couple of tickets left.
Yeah. And then I've talked about it for several weeks, but we have NCHE Day at the Charlotte Hornets. And this is a fun time. I've been several years with my basketball loving son and some of his friends, and it just is. It's a great time. This year it is on Martin Luther King Day, so maybe some folks out there, you might be off work and you can go. Maybe some of the dads are off work and you want to go do a basketball game. That'd be fun. I'll be there with my son. That will be fun. And what else do we want to talk about? Well, I mentioned that we have updated the Thrive websites, but I wanted to remind you that the registration for the hotels, reservations for the hotels is open. Registration for the conference is not open yet. It will not be open probably until January. But you can make your reservations for our conference hotels and get the best discount. And you want to go ahead and do that because they do fill up
Yes.
also. And you don't want to miss out because it's so neat to be able to just have a hotel right there. You can, you go and buy stuff in the vendor hall and you can go drop it off in your room.
It's really a necessity.
Yeah. And not have to lug around that heavy books everywhere, So I encourage you to do that. Another thing I wanted to highlight about Thrive is last year we did a trades fair for the first time and it was a success. So we're doing it again. And I would like to ask you to direct your favorite tradesperson, whether it's a welder, electrician, HVAC. It could be anything, even like midwifery, anything, cosmetology, anything like that that does not require a 4-year degree to do. Direct them to us. That trades fair, the application to be a part of our trades fair is open. It's a great chance for these different trades to pass on information to wonderful students that are excited to learn about the different trades, the different opportunities out there. You might even find your next apprentice. Who knows? So I would encourage you, please, if that's you, sign up. If that's not you, send it to someone that is. And all these links will be in the show notes.
And so lastly, we really want to ask you, as listening to this show, what are the things that you want us to talk about?
Mm-hmm.
Because we would love to be talking about the things you actually want to hear about. So please email us at the homeschool show at nche.com
Mm-hmm.
or you can comment underneath the YouTube video or on your podcast.
Yes.
And we will get that. And we would love to hear what you're thinking.
Absolutely. And so please, like she said, let us know. And always, as always, like, subscribe, share with your friends. We want to get the word out about the show. We want to encourage as many people as possible. That's our goal. So, as always, homeschool with confidence and joy. We'll see you next time.